Since World War II, a lot has changed. Nazi Germany attacked the Russian Empire in a more aggressive manner, but it met with unexpected resistance and bad weather. No matter how strong your army is, if you don't have a clear strategy, you will always lose a war. And losing a war can have disastrous consequences. But today's Germany will not make the same mistake this time. Its World War II armies have been downsized, but as a NATO ally, it is in a very strong position. What will it take for Germany to defeat Russia? First of all, Russia needs to be strategically assessed. Russia is in a difficult situation because of the war it is currently fighting. Even its political allies cannot do much because of the power of other states. Russia is also in a difficult situation economically. While it trades with many countries, embargoes have cut off many of its sources of income. The economic weakening of a country brings with it its collapse, unless of course it does something about it. Russia has taken some measures to improve its deteriorating economy. So it would be Germany's biggest mistake to take advantage of Russia's weakness and attack Russia without any plan. The question now is when Germany will go to war with Russia. Because a war at the wrong time could have bad consequences for Germany, just like Russia invading Ukraine at the wrong time. But what can Germany do in the event of a war? The answer lies in Germany's economy and war capability. Germany's economy is one of the best in the world, but it may not be enough in the event of a possible war. Because in order to win the war and withstand the negative effects of war for a long time, it is necessary to have a strong economy. Germany's economy may not last long enough in a war. The second factor is combat capability. This is actually the most important one, because the sooner a war is won, the less costly and painful it will be. The war capability that Germany has acquired since the Second World War may not be enough to defeat Russia. Germany can make up for this deficit by becoming a NATO ally. With the military and armed support it will receive from NATO, it can win a war against Russia. Russia's strong and aggressive motivation will negatively affect the course of the war, because winning a war requires a strong motivation. Russia has not given up its dreams of building a power empire. It invaded Ukraine in order to rebuild its power empire. They have sharpened their ambitions to push back the influence of NATO and the EU. Although many countries within Russia gained independence after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Putin does not accept this. He believes that borders do not matter. The policies he has pursued so far are one of the biggest indicators that the situation is moving in this direction. So Germany should not ignore Russia's aggressive and warlike motivation. Germany also needs to create a strong motivation that it will win the war, and all its citizens need to be motivated to do so. Increasing combat capabilities is another important issue. After almost 4 years of war in Ukraine, Russia has not been able to increase its war capacity sufficiently. That is why it has not been able to invade Ukraine. Russia is now in a very difficult situation because it is trying to win the war with Soviet-era weapons. Russia's biggest advantage is that it can train 280,000 people a year. In other words, Russia has the capacity to produce many trained and equipped soldiers in a short period of time. In 6 years, this number reaches approximately 1.7 million, and in 10 years it reaches 2.8 million. So in 10 years, Russia has the capacity to have 2.8 million trained soldiers. But what about Germany? It does not seem possible for Germany to reach this figure in its current state. Because since World War II, Germany has focused more on industry. Even now, it is number 1 in the world in terms of industry. However, it can be said that it is quite weak militarily. In a possible war with Russia, it is quite clear that Germany needs strong allies and support. Military power also plays an important role in a war. But what about Germany's military power? Since World War II, what has changed in the German army? After Nazi Germany lost the war, the German people faced great hardships. The worst of them were economic problems. In order to overcome the economic difficulties, labor support was received from other countries. In this way, the German economy began to recover. On November 12, 1955, the Bundeswehr German Army was established. Although it has made great progress since its establishment, it can be said that the German army is still at a novice level compared to the armies of other countries. As of 2023, the Bundeswehr has 181,672 active military personnel and 81,612 civilians. In addition, the German army has combat vehicles, such as the Puma infantry fighting vehicle, Boxer armored fighting vehicle, NH-90 transport vehicle, Leopard 2A6 ME battle tank, and PZH-200 howitzer. Taking into account the weapons available in the NATO army, it can be concluded that the German army has sufficient combat vehicles against Russia. Only one element remains. Germany must have a solid strategy. Germany also has to convince public opinion to go to war. After all, it is an active member of the European Union and has different dynamics in its internal politics. For these reasons, Germany, the cradle of democracy and human rights, has to convince its citizens and EU member states to go to war. In a possible war with Russia, Germany could act together with the UK. On January 19, 2024, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius warned that Russia could attack NATO in 5 to 8 years and that the European Union should prepare for war by the end of the year. Germany, sensing the impending danger after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, allocated 10 billion euros to its armed forces. It has also started contacts with the UK. This means that Germany will not only benefit from NATO's power, but will also form an alliance with the UK. The footsteps of the alliance can be understood from the statements of the former Chief of the General Staff and the former Defence Minister of the UK. The former Chief of the General Staff of the United Kingdom stated that the British Army has been shrinking since World War II and that the army would not be sufficient in the event of a possible Russian or Chinese attack. Former British Defence Minister Tobias Ellwood said that there is a sense of 1939 in the world and that Britain is not equipped to deal with what is on the horizon. So, if Russia and China declare war on other Western countries, many European countries will be left defenseless. Even though NATO is involved, NATO's power may not be enough if Russia joins China. So Germany will have to cooperate with other states, especially with countries with high military power and war experience. France and the UK are certainly the strongest candidates for this. That is why Germany wants an alliance with Britain, Poland, and France. And it has every right to do so. The German defense minister put it very eloquently that the countries in the European Union are weak in terms of military power. The former minister warned that the EU is preparing for war by the end of the decade. Bauer, the head of NATO's military command, has also called on the West to be ready for anything, including war. Russia is likely to cooperate with China, North Korea, and Iran. In that case, Germany cannot do anything on its own. It has to build a coalition with the Western states. It especially needs NATO's strength. Because its means of warfare are extremely inadequate. In addition, its trained military force seems to be quite weak compared to Russia. The worst-case scenario in a war between Germany and Russia is nuclear powers. Russia, North Korea, Iran, and China all possess nuclear weapons. In such a scenario, the Western states with nuclear weapons would also use their leverage. But then, the war would be meaningless. Because if the belligerent states deploy nuclear weapons, the world will face greater destruction than ever before. All states in the world will be negatively affected. So there will be no winners in the war. That is why Germany needs a solid plan to defeat Russia without resorting to the nuclear option. And NATO and other allied states should play an important role in this plan. So, what do you think about this? We would be glad if you express your thoughts in the comments section. If you want more of this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel press the like button and follow our channel.